The Galactic Union had a secret, a planet hidden deep in the dark part of the galaxy, a place full of danger, poison, fire, and death. They called it Zeta 9, but most knew it as something else, a Class 0 Deathworld that no life had ever survived. There, not even machines. Storms destroyed everything. The ground boiled. The animals hunted anything that moved. The Union used this world as a prison, a joke, a garbage bin. So when someone in the council said, "Let's send humans there," everyone laughed. Humans were the new species in the galaxy. Weak, emotional, small. Their home planet, Earth, was barely a Class 5 world, safe and soft. Most alien species thought humans would cry, run, and die quickly. The vote passed. A group of 50 humans was chosen. Soldiers, scientists, and builders. They didn't know the full truth. They were told it was a new colony test. They were. Lead 2. The ship landed on Zeta 9. The ground shook. The air hissed. Poison clouds moved like snakes. But the humans stepped out, and something strange happened. The wild animals, monsters with claws, acid blood, and 10 eyes ran away. The sky, full of black clouds, became quiet. The wind stopped. The storms faded. Zeta 9 paused. Inside the Union's control room, alien eyes widened. The planet had never done this before. Commander Ralvek, a tall insect-like being, narrowed his eyes. "This is not normal." A reptilian scientist whispered, "The planet is reacting to them." The humans got to work. They built tents, set up sensors, and started mapping the land. Captain Mason, the human leader, told his team, "Stay sharp. This place smells like death." And he was right. That night, a creature attacked. It had 6 legs, metal-like skin, and no eyes. It jumped from the trees and landed in the middle of the camp. It screamed a sound like breaking glass. The humans didn't run. They fought. 3 soldiers held it down while the 4th stabbed it through the neck. The blood burned their armor, but they didn't stop. After 5 long minutes, the creature died. The camp was silent. Then someone laughed. "Is that all this planet has?" said Private Diaz, wiping blood from his face. High above, the Union watched. In shock, they had seen other species face that same beast. It always won. Why didn't they run? Asked a bird-like diplomat. "They're not normal," said Ralvek. On day 2, the humans explored the jungle. The plants moved when no wind blew. The trees had thorns like swords. One of the soldiers got stung, but he didn't fall. His body fought back. He kept walking. Dr. Lena, a human scientist, studied the plant. "It's smart. It's watching us." Captain Mason nodded. "Let it watch. We're not leaving." That night, something worse came. A sound low and deep rolled. Across the jungle, the ground shook. A massive creature, bigger than a tank, crawled out from the earth. It had armor made of stone. Its mouth was full of fire. The humans formed a circle. No one ran. The beast charged. They used ropes, spears, and fire. It crushed 1 tent. A soldier was injured. But they didn't break. They worked like a pack. Like hunters. And then the beast stopped. It looked at the humans. It stared at them. Then it turned and left. Again, the Union watched in silence. "This is not survival," said Ralvek. "This is domination." By the end of the first week, the humans had a working water system, solar panels, and a defense line. They called the base Fort Resolve. Captain Mason sent a message to Earth. "Alive, strong. This world bleeds, but we bleed harder." The message reached Union channels. It spread. Across the galaxy, species watched. Some laughed. Some feared. But most were curious. Why was this happening? Why was a Deathworld going quiet? Deep in the planet, something old moved. A machine that hadn't worked in 10,000 years blinked on. Statue broken and forgotten glowed when a human walked nearby. The planet was not just deadly. It was alive, and it had started to accept them. But the Union didn't like that. This was a test, growled Ralvek. Not an invitation. Then we should stop them, said another voice. No, said Ralvek. We watch. Let's see how far they go. Zeta 9 was changing. The storms were still there. The monsters still hunted. But for some reason, none of them touched the humans. The question spread through every system, every star, every screen. What are the humans becoming? The jungle did not sleep. At night, the trees moved. Leaves whispered warnings. Strange lights danced above the black soil. The air grew thick and hot like a boiling ocean. Everything on the planet seemed to scream the same message. Leave. Or die. But the humans didn't leave. They sharpened their knives. They laughed. They told stories around fire. In the heart of Fort Resolve, Captain Mason stood over a map made of scavenged metal and bone. Red lines marked the jungle paths. Green lights blinked from a solar-powered scanner. The humans had survived 1 week. On the worst planet known to the galaxy. No species had ever lasted this long. Not even the machines sent by the Galactic Union. Now, the planet was starting to notice. That same night, something new attacked. It came from under the ground. A black vine with spikes. It slithered into the camp while the humans slept. Private Voss, on night watch, saw it first. He aimed his rifle, but the vine was too fast. It grabbed his leg and pulled. He screamed. Soldiers woke. Alarms rang. The camp became chaos. Hold him. Mason shouted. They grabbed Voss's arms and pulled hard. The vine stretched, then snapped back into the dirt. Blood ran from Voss's leg, but he was alive. Dr. Lena bent down. This wasn't a plant, she whispered. It was hunting. Miles away, in the Galactic Union's observation ship, alien officers watched the footage. This is it, said one, a gray-skinned fish-like alien. Now they'll break. Now they'll run. But they didn't. The next morning, the humans didn't pack up. They didn't hide. They suited up and went into the jungle. The deeper parts of Zeta 9 were worse than anyone imagined. Trees bled sap that burned like acid. Insects burrowed into flesh. Even time felt wrong. 1 hour felt like 3. But the humans didn't stop. Private Diaz laughed as he swatted a firebug off his neck. This planet thinks it's scary, he said. It's just ugly. They found a cave covered in ancient carvings. Dr. Lena took pictures. These symbols are older than anything I've seen, she said. Whatever lived here had knowledge, power. Captain Mason looked at a giant handprint burned into the stone wall. 5 fingers. About the size of a human's. This place, he said slowly, feels like it's waiting for something. That night, the jungle fought harder. A beast with skin like melted rock and a mouthful of spinning teeth attacked the team. It moved faster than any animal. It tore through 2 metal walls before the alarms even rang. The soldiers fought back. Bullets, fire, knives. Nothing worked. Then Corporal Riley stepped forward. He had been quiet since arriving. A sniper, calm, always watching. He walked toward the beast with only a blade in his hand. Riley, fall back. Mason shouted. But Riley didn't stop. He whispered something no one understood, and then leapt. The creature roared, but Riley was faster. He stabbed it in the eye. Again. Blood sprayed like acid. His skin burned. His armor melted. But he didn't stop. He killed it. Then he collapsed. They carried Riley to the med tent. His skin was scorched. His heartbeat was slow. But he was alive. Dr. Lena scanned his blood. Her hands shook. Mason, she said. His cells, they're changing. What do you mean? I mean, this planet is trying to kill us, but Riley, he's adapting to it. In the Union ship above, chaos broke out. They should be dead. One alien yelled, they're evolving. Another whispered, this is wrong. This is impossible. Commander Ralvek leaned closer to the screen. This is human nature, he said. They don't just fight. They become. The next day, the humans went even deeper into the jungle. They found bones, hundreds of them. Skulls bigger than houses. Giant ribs buried in the ground. And among them, machines. Old ones. Covered in dust, broken by time. But when Mason touched one, it turned on. Lights flickered. A deep voice spoke in a lost language. The air vibrated. Suddenly, the jungle stopped moving. Everything went silent. The planet was watching again. Back in Fort Resolve, Private Voss, the one who was attacked by the vine, began to feel strange. He could hear things no one else could. The heartbeat of the ground. The breathing of the trees. He whispered in his sleep. Strange words. Not English. When Dr. Lena recorded the sounds and compared them to the carvings, they matched. The planet was talking to him. Later that night, Captain Mason wrote a report to send to Earth. This planet is not just a threat. It's a test. It's pushing us, watching us. Riley is healing faster than humanly possible. Voss speaks in ancient tongues. Something is happening to us. And I don't think we should stop it. Far away, the Union met in secret. We made a mistake, said one ambassador. We should have never sent them. They were supposed to die, said another. But now, they are changing. Becoming something new. Zeta to 9 was a death world. It killed everything that touched it. Until now. Now it had found something strange. Something stubborn. Something human. And it didn't know what to do next. The jungle had changed. It no longer attacked the humans blindly. No more random beasts. No more poison vines. Now, it was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Mason didn't like it. It's like the planet is waiting, he said, staring into the trees. But for what? No one answered. The wind didn't blow. The birds didn't scream. The air felt thick, like something was holding its breath, and then the scanners beeped. Private Diaz looked up. Sir, there's a structure east of our position. It's buried. Big. Mason gave a single nod. Gear up. We're going in. They walked for hours, deeper into the unknown. The plants grew taller. The sky darker. The trees leaned in close, almost like they were listening. Suddenly, the jungle ended. Before them stood a wall of black stone, 50 feet high. Vines covered it, but the stone still glowed with faint blue symbols. Dr. Lena gasped. This isn't natural. Mason touched the wall. The stone was warm, humming. This was built, he said. Not by humans, not by anything I know. They found a way inside. A wide door, half buried in dirt, slowly opened with a deep, grinding sound when Lena waved her hand across a glowing panel. Inside was darkness. Cold air rushed out. And from deep below, something whispered like a voice too old to speak properly. The team moved slowly down the stone halls. Lights flickered to life as they walked, one by one. Then they found it. A chamber. Huge. Covered in carvings. In the center stood a statue 20 feet tall. 6 arms. 3 eyes. Made of smooth white metal. Its face was not human, but not alien either. It was something in between. Private Voss stepped closer. The statue seemed to watch him. He reached out and touched its chest. The moment his fingers made contact, the room exploded with light. Above the planet, in the Galactic Union observation ship, sirens blared. Energy spike. Massive. One alien shouted. Commander Ralvek stood up. Where? From Sector 9, the ruins. Ralvek's eyes narrowed. No species should be able to activate those. The screen showed the humans surrounded by light. Glowing symbols spread across the jungle like fire through dry grass. The ground shook. The sky flickered. Something ancient had woken back in the chamber. Voss stumbled back. The statue began to move. Not fully, just a finger. Then an arm. The eyes lit up bright blue. A voice echoed through the walls, not in words, but in feelings, pain, time, memory. The human stared. Then the statue spoke, not in English, not in any language they knew. But somehow they understood. You are the first. The voice was deep, tired, powerful. You are the last chance. The lights dimmed again. The statue froze. Silence returned. Dr. Lena was the first to speak. I think it recognized us. Mason nodded slowly. Or it recognized something inside us. They searched the ruins. They found more symbols, more machines. One wall showed a painting strange creatures fighting monsters made of stone and fire. In the final panel, the creatures were gone and the planet was black. A single blue light remained. Lena traced the picture with her hand. This race was wiped out, she whispered, by this planet. Mason looked around, or by something deeper inside it. Later that night, back at Fort Resolve, Voss sat alone. He was different now. He heard whispers. Not dangerous, not evil, but guiding. He wrote symbols in the dirt, perfect copies of the carvings in the ruins. When Lena saw them, she froze. These aren't just pictures, she said. They're instructions. What for? Mason asked. She looked up slowly. To wake something bigger. The next morning, the ground trembled again, but this time, it wasn't an attack. The vines moved aside. The trees bent away. The jungle opened a path. The humans followed it. At the end was a second chamber, older and deeper. Inside were machines tall, rusted, and covered in dust. When Voss stepped in, the machines turned on, one by one. They surrounded him with light, scanned his body, then stopped. A voice echoed again. You have the key. Voss fell to his knees, shaking. He didn't know why, but he felt like he had just been chosen. The Galactic Union watched all of it. They've triggered the vaults, said one alien scientist. Those should be dead tech. They're not dead anymore, said Ralvek. They're alive. And they're responding only to humans. A silence followed. Finally, one ambassador whispered, We didn't send humans to die. We sent them to wake the planet. Deep below the jungle, something stirred. A core. A heart. A machine too large to understand, and it had felt human hands. Not as enemies, not as prey, but as... Cares. Captain Mason looked at the jungle spreading out before them. The path was open. The planet was changing. What now? Asked Private Diaz. Mason didn't smile. He looked at the trees, the wind, the glowing lights on the horizon. We keep walking, he said. Whatever we started, it's not done yet. It began with one word. A simple message. Sent across deep space from the surface of Zeta 9, the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. It appeared on every Galactic Union screen, blinking in red. Home. At first, the council laughed. A joke, said one alien ambassador. They think this place belongs to them. There'll be bones by next week, said another, waving a clawed hand. But laughter died quickly when the satellites showed cities. Not tents, not camps, stone walls, towers, machines, built by human hands. In just 2 months, Zeta 9. Class 0 Deathworld was becoming a human colony. Inside Fort Resolve, everything had changed. The jungle no longer attacked. The storms, once wild and deadly, now circled far away like beasts afraid to come close. The skies over the human base remained clear, quiet, almost Respectful. Captain Mason stood on a tall wooden platform, overlooking the camp. It was no longer just a camp. They had clean water, power, weapons, even gardens. They were building houses from local stone, tools made from bones of dead creatures. The humans weren't just surviving, they were thriving. And more than that, they were changing. Private Voss could now sense danger before it happened. His dreams were filled with glowing symbols. He often woke with dirt-stained hands from drawing carvings in his sleep. Corporal Riley's body was healing faster than human medicine could explain. His muscles were harder, stronger. The burns he received earlier were now gone, no scars left. Dr. Lena had discovered that human DNA was shifting, adapting to the planet. This world was poison when we arrived, she told Mason. Now it's part of us. And we're part of it. The planet itself was responding. Flowers opened when humans walked past. Birds landed near them without fear. The jungle gave them paths, water, even shelter from heat. One night, a storm came roaring toward Fort Resolve. Lightning flashed. Winds howled. But the moment it reached the outer wall, it turned as if guided away by something unseen. Mason watched it with cold eyes. This planet doesn't want us dead anymore, he said. It wants us to stay. Far above, inside the Galactic Union Council chamber, the panic began. This is a death world. An ambassador shouted. No species survives there. It's against nature. They are using ancient tech, another said. Machines we don't understand. They are speaking the old tongue, one whispered. The extinct one's language. Commander Ralvac stood in silence. He stared at the satellite images of human structures. 50 were sent, he said. Now over 30 remain, not only alive but evolving. One screen showed a human child born 2 weeks ago. She glowed faintly in the dark. Her heartbeat was in rhythm with the planet's tectonic activity. That's not evolution. Voice whispered. That's transformation. Back on Zeta 9, the second vault had opened. More ruins. More machines, and something bigger, a beacon. When Voss touched it, it lit the sky with blue fire. A signal was sent, not to Earth, not to the Union, but deep into the void. To something no one had contacted in 10,000 years. Dr. Lena called. It the ancient network. What does it do? Mason asked. She looked pale. It wakes up whatever's left of the race that built this planet. Soon, the jungle around Fort Resolve began to grow faster, smarter. Vines carried tools to the humans. Birds warned them of danger. Even the ground beneath their feet seemed to soften when they walked. The planet wasn't just accepting them. It was protecting them. The Union grew more afraid. They sent probes, drones, none returned. One by one, the Union ships went silent. Commander Ralvac stood before the full council. We called Earth weak, he said. We called humans soft. He pointed at the glowing images of Fort Resolve. They are now part of a world that never accepted anyone. A world that wiped out empires. No one laughed anymore. Meanwhile, Mason and his team climbed to a mountain that once was forbidden. At the top was a black obelisk, humming softly. They activated it. And from it came a voice different this time. Clear, ancient, alive. You have passed. The world is yours. Now rise. At that moment, the mountain cracked open, revealing stairs leading down deep underground. Mason turned to his team. Pack everything. We go deeper tomorrow. Why? Lena asked. Because we haven't reached the bottom yet, not of this world. Or of ourselves. Back on Earth, the signal arrived. Only one line in the message. We're not coming back. Earth is not home anymore. This is. They said it was only a scouting mission. 4 elite alien observers, 2 reptilians, 1 insectoid scout, and a psychic from the Solari people were sent to Zeta 9. Not to fight, just to observe. to confirm what the Galactic Union feared, that the humans were no longer just surviving, they were changing. The drop pod landed 2 miles from Fort Resolve. The jungle didn't scream like before. There were no storms, no fire, no creatures attacking. Instead, the trees watched in silence. Scout Leader K-Rick clicked his mandibles. This isn't right. Where are the death beasts? They're hiding, whispered Silari Ven, her eyes glowing. They fear what's worse, she pointed ahead. The humans. The team moved slowly, cloaked in stealth armor. They followed. A dirt trail through vines and flowers. Strange plants bent out of their way as if they knew. Soon, they heard it. A heavy thudding noise. Bone hitting bone. Echoes of something. Primal. They found a clearing. 5 humans stood there, surrounding. A beast 20 feet tall, thick-skinned, with horns like blades. It was already dead. The humans were carving its body. One peeled off its thick, armored hide. Another shaped a helmet from its skull. One woman dipped a spear into its glowing blue blood. The blood didn't burn her. Instead, it seemed to listen. Ven gasped. They're wearing the planet, she whispered. Becoming part of it. Karik wanted to leave. This is too far, he said. We report this and go. No more. But the reptilian soldier Brask shook his head. I want to see the ruins. The team moved again, heading toward the glowing towers near Fort Resolve. What they saw made them freeze. Humans were building walls not of metal, but of living stone. The stone responded to touch, moving and shaping itself as the humans gave commands in the old tongue, the language of the extinct race that once ruled this world. One young human raised his hand, and vines wrapped around a pillar, forming a staircase. Silari Ven dropped to her knees. They're not just learning, she whispered. They're remembering. That night, the scouts set up a hidden camp inside a rock crevice. But something watched them. Something old. It didn't attack. It whispered. Only Ven heard it. In her sleep, she cried out in the lost language. Words no one had spoken in 10,000 years. She woke up screaming. They know we're here, she whispered, eyes wide. And they don't care. At sunrise, Brask went missing. They found his body hanging from a tree, armor ripped apart. But what terrified them was the look on his face, not fear, but awe. His fingers were carved with strange marks glowing. Blue lines, not made by any blade. Karik ordered an immediate retreat. Only 3 remained, but the jungle had other plans. The vines moved, the paths twisted. Storm rose, but it didn't strike them with lightning. It whispered in their ears. In their minds, you should not be here. By the time the last 2 reached the drop pod, only one was alive. REK. He was shaking, bleeding. His left arm turned to ash. He activated emergency launch. And fled the planet. 6 days later, Union Council Room. Karik stood before the four. Council, barely alive. I saw them, he said. Not as we once knew them. The ambassadors stared. They speak to the planet, Chirik continued. The world shapes itself for them. Ridiculous, one diplomat barked. They are still human. Karik looked up, haunted. No, not anymore. He threw a cracked helmet onto the table. It was made from bone and blue crystal. Inside, still glowing faintly, was a human name written in 2 languages, English and the ancient tongue. One word, Protector. Silari Ven never spoke again. She now sat in a Union asylum, drawing vines on the walls. Her eyes glowed faintly. Doctors said her mind had burned open. She only repeated one phrase, they are waking something. Meanwhile, on Zeta 9, the humans had opened a 3rd vault. Inside was a massive chamber full of ancient weapons, half fused with roots and stone. Floating orbs hummed with silent energy. Captain Mason stood before them. They called us weak," he said, smiling coldly. "Now they hide behind meetings in fear." Private Diaz looked at the strange weapon growing from a tree. "Do we take them?" Mason nodded. "This world gave them to us. So we use them." Dr. Lena decoded another symbol that Day Dotted translated to, "The first shall return. The inheritors shall rise. The cycle must complete." The Galactic Union still argued. Some wanted war. Some wanted to destroy the planet. Some still believed. The humans were bluffing, but the ones who had seen the footage, the ones who listened, knew the truth. Zeta-9 was no longer a Deathworld. It was becoming a kingdom, and its kings and queens were not aliens. They were human. In the cold, golden chamber of the Galactic Union, silence filled the room. Then a voice spoke. "It is time." Ambassador Veller, leader of the Jernai species, slammed his fist on the table. "We gave them a chance. We watched. Now they grow stronger. That planet bends to their will." Another alien, tentacles wrapped in armor, hissed, "Humans do not survive Deathworlds. They have twisted the laws of nature." Commander Ralvek stood quietly. "They didn't twist it," he said. "They became it." The vote passed. Code? Black Dot, an order rarely used in Union history. Planetary GLASSING.Zeta-9 would be wiped clean. Burned from orbit. Nothing would be left. 22 warships were sent. Titan-class destroyers, plasma hammers, graviton bombs. Enough firepower to erase a planet twice the size of Earth. As the fleet approached Zeta-9, the skies above the Deathworld darkened, not from ships, but from clouds. Thick, endless, blacker than space. The fleet's sensors glitched. Static filled their COMS. And then the storm spoke. One word, whispered in every soldier's ear in their own language. Leave. On the surface, Captain Mason stood on a high ridge overlooking Fort Resolve. He watched the sky twist with lightning. "They're coming," he said calmly. Dr. Lena stepped beside him. "How do you know?" "I heard the planet scream." Behind them, the others prepared. There was no panic, no fear. They had known this day would come, but they were no longer the same humans who had landed here. They were more high above, in orbit. The Union ships moved into position, ready all weapons. Barked Fleet Admiral Torix, but the ships began to shake. "Sir, the gravity. It's changing." The planet's pull was increasing unnaturally. One ship drifted too, close to the atmosphere. Winds caught it like a child catching a toy. It twisted, crumpled, and was pulled down, slammed into the ocean with a force that cracked the planets. Surface. Then the ocean swallowed it whole. No debris. No fire. Just silence. On land, the ground opened. Not in chaos, but with purpose. Giant cracks formed, glowing with blue light. Vines rose, wrapping around drop pods before they could land. Explosives were planted across the planet by Union drones, but when triggered, they simply fizzled. Melted. Refused to burn. Dr. Lena ran tests. "The planet has changed its chemical makeup," she whispered. "It absorbs energy now." In the skies, the remaining ships tried to fire, but every time a weapon locked onto the surface, lightning struck. Not random. Targeted. Electricity fried control systems. Ships lost power, crashed into one another. One cruiser tried to launch a graviton bomb. It hovered in space, then turned. As if pushed by an invisible hand. The bomb flew backward into the ship that launched it. The explosion lit the sky like a second sun. Back in Fort Resolve, Mason gathered his team. They wore armor made from the bones of fallen beasts, powered by the ancient tech from the ruins. Private Voss, now glowing faintly, held a staff formed from tree roots and crystal. "This is our world now," Mason said, "and it's fighting with us." The planet itself moved. Mountains shifted. Earthquakes rippled outward, but only under the drop zones. Entire sections of forest vanished into the ground, swallowing enemy walkers before they could fire. And then, it woke Dot from deep under the surface. Something massive rose. An ancient construct, a giant machine fused with root and stone, half alive, half weapon. Its eyes glowed the same color as the ancient vaults. It stepped forward, raised a hand toward the sky, and tore a Union battleship from orbit like a bird plucking a worm from dirt. Inside the Union command ship, panic spread. Retreat. One officer screamed. "We can't," another cried. "The planet's holding us here." Ralvek watched in silence. His eyes, once full of command, now held fear. "They became the Deathworld," he whispered. "No," a younger officer replied. Staring at the destruction, "They became its kings." Only 3 ships made it out. The rest were destroyed by storm, by ground, by gravity. By Zeta-9 itself. The humans never fired a single shot into the sky. They didn't need to. The planet fought for them. After the battle, Fort Resolve stood untouched. Not a single life lost. Private Diaz, watching the stars return to silence, said softly, "We didn't win this war." Mason nodded. "The world did." In the ancient ruins, a new door opened. A tunnel leading deeper than any before. Symbols glowed across the walls. Dr. Lena translated slowly. "You passed the final trial. You woke the Guardian. Now take your place." From Earth to the edge of the galaxy, news spread. The Deathworld couldn't be destroyed. Humans couldn't be stopped. And something far older had returned. The galaxy held its breath. After the failed attack on Zeta-9, the once mighty Galactic Union went silent. Its warships had burned. Its pride had broken. Its plan to wipe out the humans had backfired. But on the Deathworld, everything had changed. Fort Resolve was no longer a fort. It was now a city. Tall towers made of stone and bone. Vines climbed the walls like living art. Blue lights glowed softly from every corner. The air no longer smelled of danger, but of life. This wasn't Earth. This wasn't survival. This was home. Captain Mason stood at the edge of a large balcony, staring out over the jungle. The same jungle that once tried to eat them was now their greatest protector. Behind him, Private Voss, now marked with glowing tattoos from the vaults, whispered softly, "It's ready." Mason turned slowly. "Send the message." Across the stars, a signal spread. Not weak, not afraid, not asking for help, not explaining anything, just a few words. "We are the Deathworld now. We are not prey. We are not guests. We are the future." And for the first time in galactic history, every single species listened. Back on Earth, world leaders watched the transmission in silence. The humans they had sent to a planet of death were no longer human. Their skin had changed tougher, their minds sharper, their blood bonded with the planet itself. What are they now? One Earth general asked. No one answered. Because they already knew. On Zeta-9, the final vault opened. Deep underground chamber, full of stars carved into the walls. Each star pulsed with ancient energy. Dr. Lena touched the center panel. The entire room lit up. Hologram appeared showing the galaxy itself. Thousands of planets. Millions of systems. And in the middle, a blinking blue light. Zeta-9. Then more lights began to appear. 1, then 2, then 7. Mason stared. They're connected. Lena nodded. There are more planets like this, sleeping, waiting. Private Diaz leaned forward. You think they'll listen to us too? No. Mason said quietly. I think they're already awake. Suddenly, the jungle roared. Not in fear but celebration. The sky opened, not with storms, but with light. Beasts came out from hiding. Birds circled overhead. The ground vibrated gently. And from the core of the world, the ancient voice returned louder. Clearer. The trial is over. You are worthy. This world is yours. Lead or be forgotten. The humans stood at the edge of something no species had ever reached. True ascension. Not through war. Not through weapons. But through becoming one with the most dangerous world in existence. They didn't conquer the Deathworld. They became it. Meanwhile, across the stars, reactions varied. Some species prepared defenses, some begged for peace, and some foolish or brave plotted revenge. But the humans no longer answered calls. They had their own mission now. They weren't looking to join the Union. They were building something new, a new order, a new council, a new kind of power. 1 month later, a second colony ship left Earth. Destination, Zeta 9. But this time, there was no fear. They knew what waited for them, not monsters. Not storms, but evolved humans, guardians of a living planet. When the new colonists arrived, they knelt at the jungle's edge. They didn't walk in until the trees opened the path, a test, and the jungle welcomed them. Because now the world could tell who belonged and who didn't. In the deepest part of the final vault, Mason stood alone. He stared at the last door. It was old, rusted, covered in symbols that even Lena couldn't translate. Then, it spoke. Only to him. Last key detected. Final chamber opening. The floor cracked. Stone slid away, and what lay beneath was not just a machine. It was a seed. Floating, glowing, not a weapon, not a threat, a beginning. It pulsed once, then shot a beam into the sky. Across the galaxy, old ruins lit up. Dead planets stirred. Buried vaults blinked to life. Every species felt it, a whisper, a promise, a warning. The age of death is over. The age of inheritance begins. Captain Mason returned to Fort Resolve. He gathered his people, warriors, scientists, children, the wounded, the changed. He looked at them not as soldiers, but as the first generation of something new. We were sent here to die, he said, but instead, we became more. We are not Earth's people anymore. We are Zeta's children, and the galaxy will remember our name. He raised his hand. Vines curled around his fingers like loyal pets. The ground glowed beneath their feet, and the skies answered. With thunder, not of war, but of arrival. The Deathworld didn't kill the humans. It rebuilt them, and now they were ready to rebuild the stars.